So I just thought I would answer a few of these questions that so many people ask me today. How did I get started? When was my first awakening? Okay, I'm a person that has always been connected to the energies. I often tell people the story of when I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I must have been about 5 or 6 years old, where I was with my family. We were getting on a ferry traveling from France to England. We got out the car, and when we got out the car in the ferry, I was obsessed. Don't know why. I was obsessed with watching the doors of the ferry close. Now, in today's society, this might not happen, unfortunately, but in those days, you know, it was, oh no, no, we've got to go into the ferry. We've got to get out of the parking lot. We can't stay here. But I was so insistent. My mother asked the guys if we could stay and watch the doors close. And of course, in those days, the the guys closing it were like, this young boy is interested in watching how the doors close. And so they let us watch the doors close. And then the doors closed, and we went in the ferry and continued on our trip. Whilst we were on our trip, there was a ferry accident. It was known in the UK as the Townsend Torrison ferry accident. This accident happened 7 days after we were on the exact same ferry of Townsend Torrison. And guess what happened? Yes, the ferry sank because the doors didn't close properly. Now, I've had many, many things like this. I can tell you lots of stories about this. A similar thing happened, it must be 10 odd years ago now, with the train bombings. I was in Madrid, and yes, it was 7 days before I got this very strange premonition, and it was the train that I took. So, I get these things all the time. I'm just always connected to the energies. My first sort of awakening was when I was 18, 19, full like bang, wow, kapow. And I was in Cervinia in Italy, living right next to, yeah, that powerful pyramid mountain. And that's when I had the first full rising experience of my Kundalini, a very, very powerful thing. And since then, I have been searching for answers, taking courses, doing many things. I studied Raja Yoga well over 25 years ago. I've studied Reiki. I've also studied hypnotherapy, NLP, many, many different techniques. I've studied Neigong, I've studied Qigong, I've studied some of the martial arts, not for the fighting, but more for the sort of Taoist perspectives. Studied a bit of Confucianism, studied Western shamanism, Eastern shamanism, many, many different traditions. But at the same time, I am an open book. You can see my YouTube channels. I haven't started them that long ago. It takes time to build these things up. My Instagram, my TikToks, they're not huge channels at all. But, I just keep going, keep working with private clients, keep working group sessions. I'm not trying to sell myself as anything I'm not. And I say this because, for example, apparently, and I just had this recent encounter, I get contacted by people trying to sell their sales skills. So the latest one, I got an email from this magazine saying, "Oh, you've been selected to be a writer for us." Of course, it was a paid service. It looked interesting, so I looked into it. They were saying they got over 2 million views a month, 300,000 readers of their magazine every month. I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. So I did my own research. I pushed them a little for a few more numbers. And it turned out that they are a web search based magazine, so basically a blog. And from the 2 million hits type of thing that they said they received, they only actually got about 40,000 a month. And they say, oh, but we have to include our Facebook hits and our LinkedIn hits and our TikTok hits and our Instagram hits and our YouTube hits. So I looked them up too. Yeah, nothing very big either. Nothing that was promoting, the smaller people, the ones that aren't the bigwigs of the industry. So I'm like, thank you, but no thank you. Once again, it's a shame because it did look very promising, but to pay what they were asking to then work to write for them for the amount of views, it was just like, come on. Recently, I found there was an advert running around Instagram about this healer, and there were well-written, scripted interviews of people, or that's what it looked like to me. There were images of this healer going with his family on private jets flying around the world. It said he had a 600,000 waiting list to be with him, but yet had only seen 300,000 clients or something like that. Really weird things that sort of just didn't add up to me. Now, obviously, all these people, it doesn't matter who they are. And on social media these days, you get these people with big channels, and they are sort of showing that they know everything about everything. They studied the theory, perhaps they write texts, they use teleprompters, that's it. And, they read this teleprompter script that they have written, and it all sounds very intellectual and wonderful. But when you actually ask them a question, you can see they're all theory-based. They don't actually practice what they're preaching. It's just theory, and it's theory that's being spun over and over and over on lots of different channels. And okay, great. I always say to people, the famous Alan Watts, he was a great yes man. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Alan Watts and I love a lot of the things he said. However, at the same time, one of the strategies he would use the 3 yeses, the selling marketing technique. So he would use 2 statements or 2 explanations mixed together using although he might not have known it as NLP in those days, but using sort of NLP techniques to then validate a 3rd one. Now, sometimes the 3rd one was very validated, but other times it just wasn't and isn't. But because people believe what people say and they come to trust these people, therefore, anything else they say, they automatically believe. You always need to question, especially the people you take information from and trust taking advice from. And so their beliefs become your beliefs. Those are the ones you have to question and see how deep, not their theory goes, but their practical understanding goes. And so I've been doing this for a very long time. And it's also very interesting. Another thing, you give sessions to people or you answer comments and you get these people coming along that are very new in the industry. They sort of want to state their claim. And so they try to find fault in everything you're doing, which is good. You do have to question other people and what they do. It's brilliant to do it. Yet when you see they are trying to state their mark to try and one-up you, it's sort of, why are you trying to do this? I've been doing this for 20, 25 years. I have lots of practical knowledge as well as lots of theory knowledge. Why are you trying to do this? I don't go into deep subjects that I know nothing about. I don't try and intellectualize anything. If anything, I try to do the exact opposite. I try to find the simple answer to things. And also, I am always taking more trainings, doing work with more people. For example, currently I am working with Sasha Cobra doing one of her courses, which I find highly interesting. It is very interesting. And if you're interested in her, go check it out. But there are many diamonds in the rough out there, but there's more, a lot more rough. So I hope this little video just goes to explain a little bit more who I am, what to look out for when trying to find help for you, when you're trying to find mentors to help you, that question you, that challenge you, that find your faults in a good way. And also when you're looking for these people, to challenge them as well. Don't just take their word for it. Don't take my word. I always say, don't take my word for anything. Go do, from what I tell you, go do your own independent research about it and then make up your own mind. Never take my word as that's what it is. We all have filters. We all have biases, no matter how much we try to get rid of them. We're always going to have them. It's part of humanity. It's part of our biochemical computer that is our mind. So always be questioning, always be asking questions, and always see if answers are rational, emotionally correct, and feel good and fit with your energy. I hope this lets you see a little bit more about me. Hope you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button, and share this and other videos on my channel with people who you think may like them. Or in fact, people that you don't think may like them, but it will just be interesting to see their reaction to them.